Hello, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit here, and in this review that I'm going to be doing of the movie Flash, I'm going to be speaking positively about the movie, and I know that it's not doing well, that it's tanking, that it's not going to make back what was the budget that was spent on it, and the money that was spent on advertising it, etc., and so on. I think this is a movie that we're going to see develop a cult following over the next few years. So let me first discuss the elephant in the room. I was trying to remember that expression, the elephant in the room. That's what it is, the elephant in the room. And that's Ezra Miller. Now, people are justifiably fed up with Ezra Miller's behavior over the last 2 or 3 years. It's been one thing after another. The guy's just completely out of control. He should have charges against him. He should probably be in jail, but he isn't. He's done some seriously sketchy things, and he's also been a pain in the ass. Like insisting on being a they them and so forth. So a lot of people are just saying, fuck you, Ezra Miller. I'm not going to see your movie. My take on Ezra Miller, which I talked about in a prior video, and I will link to it below for anyone who's interested. I'm more inclined to go easy on him because my impression is that what we're seeing is a former child actor in Hollywood acting out after probably being perhaps abused under aggravated circumstances. That's just my belief. That's just my gut. My gut is telling me that. We know, or we should know by now, that Hollywood is absolutely no place for children. We know what happens to children who are in show business from an early age. And, we wonder why they start behaving weirdly and erratically and crazily later. As so often happens, it seems more often than not. What happened to these people when they were very young, when they were in the industry? Probably some really bad things. And that's my impression of Ezra Miller, that what we're seeing is the result of whatever happened to him, whatever was done to him while he was a child in Hollywood. So that's why I'm less inclined to be all angry with Ezra Miller, not to justify any of the bad stuff that he's done, of course. But in any case, the movie shouldn't be assessed on what the behavior of the actor or any of the actors in it. It should be taken on its own terms and on its own merits. And I have to say right now, I'm not a cape shit kind of person. It's just not my jam. It's not. I'm not against. I don't. I don't oppose those kinds of movies. I think if you're into those kinds of movies, that's fine. It's just not my thing. What I am into, though, what is my jam, are movies and books and other pieces of media that address the matter of changing reality, of the possibility of, I guess it's become a cliche to talk about multiverses, and in the MCU, the multiverse thing really isn't all that interesting, but the multiverse idea as it gets developed in this movie is quite interesting indeed. And I think what makes me interested in multiverses or shifting realities or other such things is my perception that reality is not a fixed matter. That things can happen, weird stuff can happen, that can result in alterations or seeming alterations of reality. And the thing that comes to mind most is the Mandela effect. Some people believe in the Mandela effect and think that it's an interesting subject. Others just dismiss it out of hand. To me, it does seem like there's some truth being addressed there, although it depends on it should be taken on a case by case basis. I don't think anybody who claims any kind of seeming discrepancy should immediately be believed. But it seems to me there are some things out there that really cannot be explained, and they can't just be chalked up to a mass, mistaken memory by millions and millions of people. So, anyway, in The Flash, what we have is, sort of a trope that's been repeated in several movies, but here it's done, I think, in a highly interesting way. We have the fact that the Flash. I don't know his alter ego's name. I'm not a big enough fan. If I knew his alter ego's name, I would probably know more about the lore and everything surrounding this whole incident. But basically, his mother was murdered in her home, and his father got blamed for her murder, even though his father had an alibi that he was at the store buying some ingredient. That was why he wasn't there when the murderers came by and killed the wife for reasons that I think are explained in the lore that I'm not all that familiar with. Someone who knows the lore below can just fill me in below if you wish. But in the movie, the Flash decides to go back after he discovers that it's possible to regress in time, to go back in time using his powers. He decides I'm going to go back in time and see if I can save my mother, and he does it. He does it by ensuring that she buys the tomatoes. I think it is the ingredient that she had forgotten, and that her father his father had to go to the store to get. When the murder was taking place. So he puts it in, he comes he goes back to the past, sees her at the store, puts the tomato jar in her shopping cart, and thus prevents the murder from happening. We find out after this because he gets the Flash in attempting to get back to the present. For reasons I won't go into here because it's too convoluted, he ends up getting stuck in the past, but not as far in the past as he was. So he stops his mother from getting killed, and then he's going back, and it's a few years later, and then he gets expelled from the time traveling vortex, and he gets spat out in this time a few years afterwards, and he meets himself. He meets himself at age 18, and this is where all of the Ezra Miller haters are like, wow, we have to put up with two Ezra Millers in this movie, yeah, you do. I think that for what it is worth, I didn't find Ezra Miller's performance to be bad at all. I thought he sort of was just this likable nebbish kind of guy. Sort of is it Chandler? Is that the character from Friends, who's the nebbishy one? That's what he's kind of Chandler-esque, if I'm thinking of the right guy. That's the main one is like that. Now, when he meets himself, it's like 25-year-old him meeting 18-year-old him, and his 18-year-old self is kind of spoiled, obnoxious college kid, and he hasn't had the same kind of hardships that Flash #1 has had. So and he's younger and less mature. So they clash on various things, and this younger guy, this kid, after he obtains the powers of the Flash, he just to him it's just sort of a fun game to just tear ass around and be mischievous and forth. What now? Afterwards, they meet the Michael Keaton Batman, because in this universe, he's created this alternate universe, and in this alternate universe, all the superheroes that are around in the main universe that we knew are for one reason or another not around anymore, and the only exception to that is Batman. But Batman's not really. Batman's sort of in retirement because Gotham City has become, the crime has gone way down. So Batman's not really needed anymore. But the two Flashes seek out Batman, and it turns out in this universe, Batman is Michael Keaton. So for a lot of people, that's like the big selling point of this movie is seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again, replaying his iconic role from the 80s and early 90s. Now, I thought that was cool, that was fun too, but the thing that's most interesting to me about the movie is what it introduces about the whole principle, the whole concept of creating a multiple and creating a parallel reality. In this movie, it's stated that when you go and make a certain change, and one thing changes, so there's a point of divergence. The point of divergence in this universe is when Flash puts the tomato can or the tomato jar in his mother's shopping cart. That makes it so that ultimately his mother is saved. So things change, from that moment, but they also the causality reaches to before that moment of divergence. So every other time I've heard of alternate realities being talked about in movies or books, it's always just like, everything's exactly the same until there's this one change, and then they branch off in this one way, just because of this one thing which causes other stuff, the butterfly effect and all that. But in this movie, they introduce the concept that once you change one thing, that a bunch of other things change even in the past. So in this new reality, there's things in the past that are different from reality as we know it. And very cleverly, one of the things that's different is in this reality, Eric Stoltz was the star of the Back to the Future franchise, which is a clever reference for this movie because, like the Back to the Future series, it was all about going back in time and changing things, and then things possibly going wrong or possibly going right. So there's that parallel going on. The entire notion of Eric Stoltz as the iconic in the iconic role of Marty McFly, which he was originally cast in, but then his performance didn't work in the eyes of Robert Zemeckis, the director. So they ended up casting Michael J. Fox instead. In this universe, that didn't happen. In this universe, Stoltz played the part, and then became famous for playing Marty McFly. Another thing that happens that is there's this expression called beeves, like, oh, that totally beeves. I think it's Beeves, and it's something that the 18-year-old, the younger Flash, the younger, more obnoxious, more spoiled Flash, whose mother never died, It's something he says a couple of times, and it never gets explained, which I thought was fun. That just like there are little things like little expressions that people use in this reality that are just different, and that's because there's some causal chain that when the divergence happened, it didn't just happen into the future or at the point of divergence. It also went into the past, which was cool. It is cool, I think. Now, I don't want to go through the plot extensively, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but or have any spoilers in my review. But there's something interesting in that we see the consequences of when you go back and change something, and there's a point in the movie where there's a certain futility that emerges. We see something something bad happens that threatens the whole world, and and this one character keeps dying. Two characters, two heroic characters, not the Flashes, but two other ones, a Batman and another one that later appears. They keep dying, and and the Flashes keep going back and trying to stop that from happening, but they can't stop it from happening. And then we later are given to understand that one of them became so obsessed that he kept going back and trying to change it, but it never worked, and it's because there's no Superman in this universe. That this in this case, the invasion of General Zod and his effort to terraform the Earth and destroy the Earth's population and make the Earth into the new Krypton. He can't be stopped because because Kal-El, the son of Jor-El, i.e. Superman, didn't survive in this universe. So there are real consequences, and eventually, what has to happen is Flash has to. I guess this is a semi-spoiler. Flash has to undo the change that he made. He realizes that this world is doomed. This world that he's created by making this change, by shifting reality, is doomed, and he has to correct that change. And it's a very painful thing for him to go back and then take the tomato jar out of the cart, and then he has a few words with his mother, who kind of doesn't know who he is, but it's actually really well handled. It's not sappy. It's emotional without being sappy, and I really enjoyed that. There's a tragic kind of element to the storyline that I enjoyed, even though there was also a lot of comedic stuff going on too. Some of which worked and some of which didn't, but it didn't accumulate in a way that the comedic stuff that didn't work didn't accumulate so much that we're to the point where you often have in these cape shit movies, where there's just too much joking around, or too much efforts at lightening the mood, too many quips, too much forced banter or whatever. And there's also something weird, a weird finale, because the Flash realizes, I can't save my mom, but in my reality, my dad is being charged with her murder. Maybe I can do something now that will ensure that my dad can be seen on the store footage, to so that he can be exonerated, because then his alibi would be confirmed. So he does a little something. I won't describe what it is. And actually, in spite of all the stuff about, you don't want to go back and change the past, you got to accept the past. He still, uh, he still, I mean, he doesn't learn this lesson, if it's a lesson, because he does change something that leads to leads to his father being exonerated, but also has other consequences as well. Like other things change in now in the main reality that he knows. It's a weird, it's kind of a mind bender. Uh, it would be too much to say a mind fuck. But there's some stuff that make you go whoa. There's a cameo at the very end that really makes you say whoa. Didn't see that coming. Didn't know that was going to happen. Altogether, I would say, and as far as woke stuff, there's nothing woke about this movie. The only possibly woke thing is there's a female love interest who's a black girl and who's not all that attractive. I don't know why they did that. That might have been that was like a semi woke thing to do. But I mean, there was the Joker was into a black girl in Joker, and that wasn't woke at all. Other than that, of Ezra Miller taking on this ultra woke persona of being a they them. In the movie, he's a guy. He's masculine. It's a traditional thing. Even though he's kind of nebbish, he's nebbishy. He's a heterosexual man. There's no weird stuff going on there. So I would recommend The Flash. I would recommend it not. I mean, I recommend it to anybody who's interested in these kinds of trippy time paradox sorts of things, or alternate history, alternate reality. When you change something, what else changes? What consequences does it have? It's interesting for having this tragic undercurrent, which you don't often find in these kinds of movies. Realizing that there's certain things that you're gonna have to not ensure are not changed. And again, I really do. My prediction is this is going to be a movie that gets that develops a cult following in the future. So we'll see if I'm right about that or not. Anyway, if you've seen the movie or not, if you've got any thoughts, leave your comments below. And thanks for watching.